think you'll be alone because of the fact that like it's not a possibility. I do think we could dive into that in a whole nother episode about like commitment issues or something.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Am I Doing This Wrong? It's your gals, Morgan and Ryann. Back again, back at it, back to it. 1 year strong and moving on.
Yeah, make a
An
lyric
intro
out of
with
it.
a rhyme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who am I?
No, really changing it up this year. No,
Ugh.
back. We
Yeah.
are back.
We're back. How you doing?
Good. Exhausted. I've been working a lot. We're leaving town soon. Coming to the West Coast, best coast.
That's right.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I'm trying to, fit in what work that I might do over 2 weeks in one. Not fully, but just trying to cover my bases so that we can keep a roof over our head even when we come back. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Don't want to lose it all on a trip.
I know.
A week trip.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but just preparing for our trip and yeah, just feeling really fucking tired, but I don't know. There's really no other side to that sentence. I'm just real tired, but I'm excited to get into this conversation.
I feel you. I'm kind of tired too. It's my own fault. I just like can't sleep.
Yeah.
Like the anxiety. I was kind of thinking about, I don't really want to do like sleep medication necessarily. I feel like that's,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Such like a night owl. I'll
I
be
know.
so tired all day. And then at like 8 p.m., I just like snap
know.
awake. I'm like ready to do things.
Yeah. So what I've been doing, which I did last night as well, because I usually like to be on my phone late, whether it's YouTube, Netflix, TV shows, Hulu, whatever it is, I'm trying to just put in one earbud and listen to it and then put the phone down. And I've been falling asleep pretty effectively that way.
Yeah.
So that's been working for me to help me sleep. But also just trying to be more active during the day. So
Yeah.
I have started to do better. And usually my days are pretty active because I do have to go to jobs, show up. I've taken the metro a lot, as of recently. And I'm trying to like pivot toward more localized work so I can take the metro more. And that gets me more active. Because that was something that I noticed like when we traveled abroad, when we were only using public transportation, that was what really made the days feel full and like, tired at the end of the day. So I'm trying to incorporate more of that now as well. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's tough when I work from home, but
True.
my only trips are like to the kitchen for a snack. So
Yeah.
need to do a little bit more.
I know.
Some kind of movement. But I feel you on that. I've been thinking about that too.
Yeah. How are you?
I just told you. Tired too.
You're
You're so tired you forgot.
I know.
All right. Sorry for that very tired intro, guys.
I'm not sorry for it. Look, this is the reality, okay? Sometimes I'm very excited. Sometimes the bitch is tired. Ooh, I actually just recently got into the show The Patient on Hulu with Steve Carell.
Oh, it's on my list. It's on my list.
Okay. Yeah. That shit is interesting.
The Watcher on Netflix. And actually a movie called The Watcher on AMC Plus. Both were good.
AMC has a plus as well. God damn it.
Yes. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. My mom loves The Walking Dead. So they have a subscription now.
Nice. Well, that show's really good. The Patient with Steve Carell. It's fucking wild. And it is currently on right now. So it's like, weekly episodes.
Right.
And yeah, the actor is dead in the eyes. You know what I mean?
I do really like him.
I know I've seen him before. I can't remember what else he's from, but I like the way he's playing this character in the show. It seems very true to character. Like what they were going for is succeeding. It's good. It's interesting. Yeah. So if you get a chance, watch that if you're into that genre. And then on the other hand, Yeah, Morgan's very into that genre. Yeah. But on the other hand, I've also been watching a lot of fantasy. We started Sandman on Netflix. I really like that one.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it?
Not all of it. I didn't finish
Okay.
it.
Me neither.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of fell off, but I think I got to like episode 5.
Okay. I think we're around there. I think we might be a little bit past. I do like it. I really like the concept of all the different gods. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But other than that, just preparing for my trip to the West Coast and, trying to get ready for a weekend of rock.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes. This is our first music festival in our 30s.
Ooh, that's so true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a lot of sitting down, I feel.
Oh, I was gonna say. I'm like, we're complaining about being tired now, and we're just doing our regular life. We're gonna go to a festival where it's gonna be like 85 degrees out in the sun all day from like noon to midnight.
I know. I was
You're
already
gonna
planning
make
what
it.
sunscreen I'm gonna use. Like
I
that's
know.
your 30s.
Like the packing is so different. I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, do I have those inserts for my shoes? That might be nice. I'm not wearing heels. I'm wearing tennis shoes. Like I'm wearing like flat shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, I better get some band-aids in case my like ankles rub on my shoes, Yeah. These are the thoughts in your 30s.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll keep you guys posted.
Right, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready for the conversation. What you got for us, Morgan?
All right. So today we are talking about friends with benefits.
Friends with bennies.
Sounds like a dirty like breakfast dish.
Sounds like friends with
What?
Sounds like friends with Benjamins, like money.
Oh,
That's
I
another
think I would
benefit.
like that over.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had a choice, knowing what I know now. Friends with Benjamins.
Is a
Not just
way
people
better.
named Benjamin.
Yeah.
Friends with money.
Yeah, friends with Benjamins as money versus friends with bennies as sexual benefits. Like, come on.
Take the money.
Take the money. Sex comes and goes, my friends. You know what I mean?
Right. But money makes you happy. Exactly.
Oh my God. All right. Anywho.
All right. So, if you can't tell already, we're not experts. We're not doctors. We're just two friends trying to figure it out.
Yes.
All right. So, what does friends with benefits mean? Aside from all of the wild things Ryan and I just said. Dictionary.com says that friends with benefits are two people who engage in sexual activity without being in a committed relationship.
Hmm.
Online, friends with benefits is sometimes abbreviated as FWB.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that on apps and stuff? Okay,
Yes.
yeah. I don't think I've noticed it, but when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's familiar. Like I don't remember swiping and seeing it specifically,
Yeah.
but when I
think
was
that
reading it here.
I know. I can't remember correct if I'm not sure if I'm correct, but I feel like on maybe it was like Hinge or Bumble or something, but I feel like people used to put that in their profile, like looking
Yeah,
for
that's
FWB kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, where does it come from? Dictionary.com says friends with benefits are two close pals who occasionally hook up without any of the usual relationship baggage that comes with sex. Like romance and exclusivity. Humans have surely been attempting and almost always failing at such a gig since the beginning of time. But credit for the term friends with benefits is given to singer Alanis Morissette.
Oh, is it in one of her songs or something?
So her award-winning 1995 Jagged Little Pill track, head over feet, Morissette sings "You're my best friend with benefits."
Oh, okay. I don't think I actually ever put that together. I mean, it makes sense though. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We
Yeah.
can't put we can't put a clip in here for copyright purposes, but you guys go check it out. It's in the song.
Yes.
Okay, so it goes on to say, isn't it ironic though that Morset here is talking about a lover that is being in a romantic relationship who is also a close friend? So, who uses friends with benefits? It's often prized as an ideal, but ultimately acknowledged as naive. Saying you are friends with benefits with someone always elicits a sarcastic reply of, yeah, right, or say goodbye to that friendship, or you've got yourself a relationship.
Right.
Like you're in a relationship.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it was fun. Like I feel like I've tried to have those situations, but they ended up always being not that in some way. They were never more. They were usually just less, right? Like it's like, no, there's not really that much benefit to this.
Right.
I've ever been
Yeah.
in a serious, like, we were friends, whoever said person is, we were friends, and then we decided to like add in a sexual component and it just worked. I don't think that's ever happened to me. What about you?
Yeah, no.
I feel like in college you did kind of have a situation like this.
Oh. Yeah, but I had a crush on him.
I was just gonna see exactly, but there's always a little bit more, there's a
Right.
little bit
There's
less
something
reciprocated to
else.
someone.
But it was, yes, in general, it was fun. Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fine. It was college. But
Naive. There goes.
naive. Oh. And being friends with benefits requires maturity, honesty, and commitment from both parties, like any relationship.
I think that's the opposite of what friends with benefits
A lot
requires.
of this information, you're gonna be like, nobody's really doing that though. That sounds
Right.
great, but nobody's really doing that.
Yeah.
That's not how these situations like arise. They don't
Right.
arise from like mature, honest,
No.
thoughtful conversations. Like you
No.
both got drunk and
Yeah.
you wanted to fuck, and then you were like, oh, like what do we do now?
Right. And then you
And
wanted to do it again, which is fine. But if that actually worked out like successfully, like has there ever been people that have walked away from it like, you know what, that was fun while it lasted, and let's like continue to hang out, like I don't know. I don't know if I can go back from that. I haven't been able to go back from that. I'm like, I don't
right.
want to see you
Historically,
again.
I don't, yeah. I don't have an example.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. From all of our wild experiences, this is one that we do not have personal.
Right. So, I actually found some psychology for this
Okay.
one, which I thought was interesting. So, why it can be scientifically hard to keep love out of lust relationships. So,
Okay.
the main issue that tends to arise is around keeping the physical and the emotional aspects separate. So, being physical with someone has loads of feel good hormones going around in our bodies. We've got all these endorphins going on and hits of dopamine. And this is according to a UK based dating and relationship expert.
Hmm.
Um, but she goes on to say, however, we're built to attach to one another.
Yeah.
So, indeed, as well as those feel good hormones are being released, there's a chemical in the body that actually pushes us to form a deeper connection, oxytocin. This is produced by the brain when you're attached to another person and is associated with bonding thanks to its role in developing feelings of trust and security and lowering anxiety levels.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If anything, I feel like the best case scenario for friends with benefits is if you end up with somebody that you're genuinely friends with and you also get the benefit of having them sexually as well. Like I consider my current partner a friend with benefits because I do genuinely feel like we were friends. Like I like him as a person, like I would want to spend time with him. But then we
But you
also have the
weren't
benefit
friends
of being
first.
sexual. Hmm?
Yeah. But you weren't friends first.
No, we were dating first. That is true. We were dating first. But I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the point though. Like we've had male friends or just, friends in the past that we then wanted to be, sexual with or whatever, kind of take that relationship in a different way. But I don't think that I don't think that there was a friendship to kind of have after that, because it's like you've already, like, it does feel like you've crossed a line, and I don't know what going back after that looks like. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think if your whole relationship is based on like sexual tension, and
Yeah,
then like it's like, were we that close? Like,
exactly. Exactly. I have a
you
perfect
know,
example. Yeah, I was working at Starbucks. Shout
mm,
out all Starbucks. There's so many.
there, yeah.
No,
Do
fuck
they
Starbucks.
need
I'm
it?
not shouting it out.
Sponsor us.
Yeah,
No.
no. But anyways, I was
This
working
comment is
and
not sponsored by Starbucks. Go
right.
ahead.
But yeah, there was a guy there who at the time kind of had a girlfriend. I don't know what it was, but didn't seem like a girlfriend to me, not enough to stop me from flirting. But it didn't stop him either. And so yeah, we like classified ourselves as friends, but really the whole time we just wanted to get in each other's pants, but we couldn't because he had someone, quote unquote. And then when they broke up, he just nonstop tried to get into my pants. And that wouldn't have been a friends with benefits, because I don't think, like, we had fun based on the fact that like we couldn't be more.
Yeah.
So sure, you're my friend. You know what I mean? Like, sure, let's call it a friend. But like in reality, had we started hooking up, we would have just been two people that were hooking up. I don't think that that would have classified as a friends with benefits. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel like friends with benefits is like a mutual agreement.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into it. We'll get
Okay.
into it. There's more here. Okay. So, where are we? Uh, so plus together with the hormone
Right.
vasopressin, research shows oxytocin encourages heightened sexual arousal and the process of falling in love.
Hmm.
So that's it with the chemicals. So next it says why it can be easier for some to enjoy sex without affinity. So there are types of people who can be friends with benefits more easily than people who cannot.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty interesting and um a little self-awareness came in. I don't know. I don't know. You know, if what am I trying to phrase that as? A
Yeah.
little
Yeah. Explain. What do you mean?
well, let's read them and then we'll
Okay.
see if we identify with any of them, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so for various reasons, some individuals do find it easier to distinguish between love and lust. These include people who, first one is, are aromantic, not a space romantic, aromantic. One word.
Yes. Like not romantic.
Yes.
Okay.
So it says, although they can form bonds, these individuals don't get romantic feelings or seek traditional romantic relationships.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. The next one is they're content in romantic relationships already, but are looking to fulfill sexual needs.
Hmm.
In some couples, one partner may have a higher sex drive. To ease a sense of frustration and guilt, the pair might come to an open relationship style agreement where sexual needs and demands are met by other people.
Okay. Okay. So yeah,
Having
actually that one makes most sense to have a legitimate friends with benefits situation, which I
oh,
think actually, okay, going back to that original definition, does require a level of communication, maturity, like understanding of the dynamic.
okay.
So that's fair. I'll give for
That's
that one for
okay.
sure.
Yeah, no, that's a very good example. Okay.
Hmm.
The next one is have a vocation involving sex. So it's in their job. So like
Oh, okay.
escorts and sex workers, for example, engage in intimate physical acts regularly, but don't fall in love with every client. Research shows that to help achieve separation, sex workers can construct various physical and emotional boundaries, such as using different locations and changing their appearance.
Okay.
Right?
Well, would
Yeah,
that
that
classify as friends with benefits? That's a service.
no, no, no. This is just how people can enjoy sex without creating like a a strong emotional connection.
Oh, that's why you were saying this kind of hit home for you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Now it's all
Yes.
clicking.
Okay.
Fair.
So where are we? The next one is they may have experienced some kind of violence or abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, a 2011 study indicated that those who were abused, possibly at a young age, have a greater difficulty forming stable and positive intimate relationships in later years.
That's fair. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a reason. I was thinking though, and let me know how you kind of felt like this when we were in our 20s. Not that we didn't talk about everything then either, but I just can't remember all the conversations.
There were so many.
There were so many. But for me, like, I did feel some sense of apprehension about sleeping with people that I didn't have an emotional connection to because of societal standards. I think that I am very comfortable having casual sex and it just being casual. However,
Yeah.
that is not what most of society deems as like okay, especially when you're talking about like the patriarchy and how we have to like, abide by that in a lot of ways. Hopefully, you've like, gotten rid of some of that internalized patriarchy and misogyny. However, for me, like it was hard for me to come to grips with the fact that like I was just like a sexually liberated person that liked sex and didn't always want an attachment. Like people annoy me. I don't always want to talk to you after. Even if I want to see you again, it doesn't mean that I want to like attach
Not
with you.
tomorrow. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think you're right. Like, I think I associated like the two with like being liked.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have sex with someone and then they'll like me. Like, those things,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Instead of just like letting myself go enjoy a sexual experience
Right.
without needing that, you know, like coupled validation.
Yes. Yeah,
So that
exactly.
wasn't something I learned until I was a little bit older.
True. And that shows you right there, it wasn't even really about the person, right? Like
Right.
it was just about the act and what you were involving in it because of whatever, you've experienced, whatever insecurities or, inner
Right.
dialogue that you have going.
Right.
So I feel like that is one of the reasons why, us in our friend group was a lot more comfortable telling each other because I feel like those judgments and like expectations weren't put on us
Right.
when we told each other about what we had done or what we were thinking about doing. I didn't feel bad because I knew that you and like basically Jose like didn't mind the idea of just like having that experience and it just being that experience for the story or for the night or for the whatever, it wasn't it didn't always have to be more. And so I almost feel like friends with benefits to me sometimes seems like people think that that's the safer option, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
my body count's not going up, right? I
Mm,
know this person, so I don't look like a bad person because they're my friend, and like this is like acceptable, right? Like society sees this as acceptable because some people may mistake us for being in a relationship. You know what I mean?
right.
Whereas to me, like I just feel like I didn't need that. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Some of the best dick I've had came with the worst person attached to it. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
I mean, seriously.
Right. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Well, the next one, which this is the one that I felt was a little bit like, oh, is this about me? Where'd I get this research? So it says, uh, and this is still from our list of people who may more easily have sex without creating a bond. Okay. The
Mm.
last one is have an attachment style based off of self preservation.
Oh.
So we learn by doing, and some people have had repeated experiences that have created a fear of intimacy, have certain mental health conditions.
Mm.
Those with conditions such as schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder are shown to have lower levels of bond inducing oxytocin, which I
Mm.
didn't know those about some mental health disorders. And I would like to maybe like look into, I mean, that's just one sentence, from our psychology research here, but
Right,
I
right,
would
right.
be
Yeah.
curious to know more in general. But I think
That
overall
is.
that one was a little bit telling.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, finding attachment does give a sense of normalcy, right? That there's another person that can tolerate you, that can be around you, that finds you, interesting or just like tolerable enough to be around. I think there's something to be said about that. And if you do struggle with, mental differences or illnesses or, whatever it is, you're just going to be that much more prone to feeling alienated because of those reasons, right?
Right.
And actually this is interesting. Me and Ben were just talking about this that, like there's a few other countries that employ sex workers for people with disabilities, people with learning differences or neurodiversity. Yeah, neurodiversities. Because a lot of time, like, unfortunately, we've talked about this, like, being social and having social awareness and like reading social cues appropriately is tough for honestly majority of people, right?
Right.
Especially if you are not hegemonically beautiful, you don't look like the beauty standard, right? You're already being set apart for other reasons. And so if you do have other, identities or intersectionalities on top of that, you're probably going to struggle in the dating pool. And, you know, being sexual health and, being sexually healthy and all those things are super important to like the way that you navigate society, right? And how you feel accepted. And so like when I first was reading this article about it, maybe we'll do like a deeper dive on it. But honestly, with every passing day since I've heard of this concept that happening in other countries, I don't know the exact countries. It
Okay.
totally makes sense because it's like you're giving these, different types of people, different groups of people a chance to like still be sexual and still be, like tap into that side of themselves without feeling like they're going to be judged, right? And so now I can understand why, sex work was included on that list because it's like you are creating bonds with people, whether they're paid for or not, you're still being able to create those bonds, be understood by someone else outside of yourself or your friend group or your family, right?
Right. Express yourself sexually, like express your
Right.
body. Yeah. No, that's a
Yeah.
really good point.
It's very interesting.
We
Yeah.
probably have a lot more relaxed people. Sex
No.
work is work, people.
Yeah, exactly.
US. Like,
Yeah, a lot less of an incel culture.
okay,
Like,
I literally was thinking incels when you started bringing this up. So I'm glad you
yes,
said it because I was like,
right. Which for those of you that don't know what incel means, or you just
mm,
heard it like used like negatively, it just means involuntarily celibate. So folks that may want to pursue more sexual endeavors, but for whatever reason do not or are not, in those realms, whatever it be, whatever the reason may be. There's a lot of reasons for it. But I do think that unfortunately, I mean, in some ways it can be negative, right? Like the way that communities that are in, have incels or something like that, or, the way that these people can act out on this, right, can be negative. And usually it's used in like a negative light. However, the reality is that some people are incels and like that's just what it is. And so catering to that instead of ignoring it and like alienating those types of people could be very helpful for, like the health of society.
yeah,
I don't know. Something to think about.
interesting. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Let us know if you guys want us to do like a deep dive. We'd love to do.
That'd be
That's
interesting.
really interesting. I know. They're like, what's this episode on again? What are we talking about? uh, Friends with benefits.
Yeah.
So, when to avoid friends with benefits. So, attempting no strings attached sex may be feasible for many, but it's a scenario best avoided for some, such as folks who experience anxiety.
Mm.
Yeah. So it says if you feel that being, oh no, if you feel that being sexual with someone might trigger feelings of rejection and emotion and worry about what might happen, then it might not just be for you. It might just not be for you.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. If you need to feel comfortable and confident enough in yourself that you've got this. Oh, no, sorry. You need to feel comfortable and confident enough in yourself that you've got this and can do this. If you don't, this same researcher, says she highly advises a friends with benefits situation would not serve you.
Mm.
But I think people are going to get into this like regardless because I feel like the typical situation is like one person is hoping that the other person will like fall for them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even
Oh,
putting that
and
title
we've
on
been
it.
there. We're not calling
Yeah.
anyone out for being hopeful. Like,
Right.
hello, did you not hear my story earlier about college?
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah, that's true. I think this one's just a little bit tougher because I feel like I've been there, but at the same time, this isn't similar to like our last episode, dating exclusive or exclusivity, right? Like that comes from a conversation. Does this also come from a conversation or is this just something you fall into?
We'll chat about that next. So, here are some tips for navigating friends with benefits, which I mean, it just feels like a hindsight thing, you know? But if this is reaching someone who is thinking about getting into a friends with benefits situation or is right in the middle of one,
Mhm.
here's some tips for you.
Oh.
Let's see if we used any of them. All right. So, number one, get clear on your definition of what it means to be friends with benefits.
Mm,
So, it's different for everyone. So, don't assume what you're envisioning is the same as what the other person is thinking.
yes.
The most common pitfall that leads to dissatisfaction and heartbreak in FWBs is lack of honest and clear communication between the partners regarding their expectations, agreements, and boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They talk about this. There's a Seinfeld episode where Jerry and Elaine basically want to do this, right? So they're friends for a long time, dated, didn't work out, but they're still friends. And so the first rule was sleeping over is optional.
Okay.
And then the second one was no calls the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is before texting and stuff. And
Right.
so sleeping over being optional, I think is totally fair. That should be I personally believe that if you're going to be friends with benefits, I think that's a pretty good way to like have your situation, even if you want to get dinner after or lunch or whatever time of the day or night, whatever. I think
Right.
it's a pretty good one. What do you think? Not sleeping over.
Um
That is a lot of attachment right there, right? Like the actual
that's
sleeping
why I'm
act.
saying I almost would say I would probably say no sleeping over.
No, that's the yeah, or it's optional, but yes. Oh, so you're saying
I'm saying it's
being
not
even more
optional.
strict. Okay, so no sleeping over. Oh, yeah, all right. I agree. I think that that leads into what are you having for breakfast? What are you wearing tomorrow? Are you just going to leave here for more? You know, like that leads into like more responsibility territory.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's fair.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. So, number 2, understand what your partner wants from the relationship. Not only should you be totally honest about these things, but the importance of encouraging your partner to share exactly what it is. No, hold on, I read that weird. Okay. So, not only should you be totally honest about these things, but you should also encourage your partner to share exactly what they want too. That's the only way to make sure you're both on the same page and that you're honoring what they want from the relationship. So yes, you should still care about your partner even in FWB situations.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It
If they
is
are
fair
genuine, if they're genuinely your friend, right?
exactly, but I'm like, who's having these conversations? I wasn't. This is what I'm saying. I feel like all of this sounds really good when it's written out in like an article specifically about friends with benefits, but applying it to real life situations doesn't feel as realistic
Right. Even if you're
in my
having other
experience.
conversations, what'd you say?
I said in my experience.
Oh, right. Yeah. Even if you're having real conversations outside of what you are doing sexually with this person, right? You might, if they're really your friend, you're probably going to hang out with them other times with other people, right? Which you were in that situation, right? You would see this person outside of like the bedroom, basically, but you're not focused on what you're doing in the bedroom because they're still a friend outside of this whole sexual realm. So I feel like
Right.
it's hard to have these like really communicative relationships with that person that you're having sex with because you're kind of trying to keep that as just that,
Right.
right?
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So it feels like you should have less communication.
Yeah. That's my motto.
Yeah. Less communication, more
That's
sexual
why.
endeavors.
Right. That's probably why I'm still single. Okay. Um, all right, so number 3 is check in with each other regularly.
Oh.
So, check in this is what I'm saying. Ryan's like, "No." Ew, uncomfortable.
I mean, it's just like I don't know.
So check in periodically to make sure what's happening is still okay. Should there be more boundaries or fewer? Whether they like to admit it or not, friends with benefits is a type of relationship. You are relating to each other in specific ways, but that doesn't mean you won't have to talk through some things occasionally.
I don't know. I feel like it's the opposite.
Okay,
Like,
well, there was a note on this one. It says one more thing: don't ghost them. If you're starting to lose interest in spending time with them, have a conversation about it, which is definitely harder if you are truly friends.
yeah.
However, I I don't know. I don't know. I feel like
I
it's
don't
really difficult because if you are if you're like, "Let's have a talk about this," like, "I wanna know if you're sleeping with other people."
mhm.
Okay, on one hand, that seems like a conversation that's very logical because you're, like, being mindful of your sexual health. On the flip side, that could sound like, "I like you and I don't want you to fuck other people."
Right. Right. I mean, which you could specify, like, hey, I'm just looking out for my number one. Like,
Yeah.
are
My
you
downstairs lady, like, I
yeah.
need to know.
My downstairs lady. Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. You could use very specific verbiage like, look, I'm just looking out. I just want to make sure. Like if you are, that's fine, whatever, but I just need to know so that I can protect myself, we can all be safe, whatever. Um but I do think that the last time that you have sex, unless like I said, unless this is a friend group and they are just going to be a part of a group, if this is just a singular friendship, I just don't really see this continuing after the last encounter,
Yeah.
unless you compartmentalize. Like, I think it's way more of a friends with benefits, like true sexual benefits, as a friend to friend situation if you genuinely keep it completely separate, right? No
Yeah.
sleeping over,
Yeah.
calls or texts are only about like friend related stuff. If we're actually going to hang out separately, I
Yeah.
think it makes more sense to keep that very concise, right?
Right.
Um, if you really do want this to continue. And then when the sexual, relationship does end or whatever that portion is called, then you can just move on and not really have to broach a lot of those conversations. I just think the hard part is like keeping that separate, and I totally get it. I'm not saying I did it successfully. I'm just saying if you're genuinely wanting to keep this as a friends with benefits and you do not have an ulterior motive of making this your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your partner later, hopefully you can, you know what I mean, keep that
Yeah.
separate. But
Which is probably not anyone's intention.
I don't know. But
Probably
that's
not.
not true, because you had a crush on that guy, but like I don't know, I guess it's hindsight, because in the moment you totally would have wanted more from that.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
No, I
fair.
totally did. Okay, number 4, which is basically one we've been saying no to this whole time. Talk about your feelings.
Ugh.
Ugh, right?
How old are we?
I know. Okay, so it says a lot of people think friends with benefits is an easy way to get sex and have fun without actually needing to talk about the squishy stuff. Weird word choice there.
Yeah.
Not from me. This is from the article. But
Squishy
like
stuff?
you might want to talk about the squishy stuff if you're having
Right.
a
There's something
friends with
squishy
benefits.
going on. Right.
Um, So, between these two experts in this article, so one says, I don't think that talking about your feelings is ever off limits in any type of relationship. Emotions are going to come up, and it's better to express them as they do rather than hold on to them and have them bubble up in ways that could harm the relationship you have with this person.
Mm.
Talking about your emotions is the only way to make sure neither person is getting hurt by the situation. I don't think both people are walking away from this situation like skipping away happily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, on equal ground even, right?
Right.
Like someone is going to have to be the letdowner. Like,
Right. And even if you didn't want to date them, like rejection still hurts.
right. Yeah, it still feels a certain type of way, especially when you know this person outside of the sexual realm, right? Like,
Yeah, especially if you have like a mixed friend group and you guys see each other all the time and like you were saying, like
right,
go to all the same things.
right, right.
Like there is, I mean, if it wasn't that serious, you could probably get over it, right?
Sure, sure. But again, you'd get over it easier if you compartmentalized.
Right. Shut it down. Just shove
Yeah.
it deep down in there and don't let anyone know.
Yeah. Just talk about it 10 years later in therapy, let your therapist have it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is not our normal advice for our most of our episodes,
True. Ah,
but
yeah.
I feel like friends with benefits can be detrimental to your mental health. So,
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely.
but I get the benefits of it because it is someone you're comfortable around.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Hmm. All right. So, number 5 is be considerate and empathetic. Sure. There are plenty of ways to draw boundaries, to ask for space, to withhold commitment, or even to break up with someone without being a jerk about it. If you notice the other person seems upset by the situation or dynamic between you, the FWB label is not an excuse to throw up your hands and say, "We're not dating, so I'm not responsible for this."
Oof. Yikes.
You're not dating, but you are friends ostensibly. So treat their emotions the same way you treat your friends' emotions if they were upset with you.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I do get that portion because, yeah, you definitely need to, as much as I'm saying like compartmentalize, I do think, again, like if you just genuinely want this situation, I don't know why or what the circumstances would be where this is what you're going for. Again, without an ulterior motive. But yeah, you definitely need to like still be able to tap into like that real friendship side of it, right? If your friend, just like any other friendship, if they came to you with, the situation and they felt some type of way about it, you would treat them with empathy and try to really like, be there for them without judgment, without, all those things. Um, but because you're involved sexually, it doesn't mean that you need to just be like, well, whatever, like this is just how I feel about it. It's like, okay, you could still treat it with, kids gloves kind of thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe this scenario would work if you were like recently out of a bad breakup
Hmm.
and you had a friend, like you were, people are just like, I'm just looking for someone to fuck.
Hmm.
And you have a friend
Hmm.
who's willing to do that. Willing to do that sounds like it's not like a charity case situation. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, yeah, I think you're attractive. Like, let's
Hmm.
bang.
Mm, honestly, I think that's even more dicey because since you're so fresh from a relationship, your emotions are all over the place anyway, and you're looking for somewhere to attach to like take up what that other person that you broke up with was filling for you. So I feel like that's
Mm,
even dicier because it's like, I'm sorry, like, or not, I'm sorry, but it's like you already have all of these things that you're working through when you would need your friends to talk through all of this with. So is this the pillow talk after you have sex, about getting over your ex? Like, I don't know. That sounds like
I don't
building a
think it's
serious
like,
attachment.
what if you're at the point where you're like over the ex, but you were like, I'm not going to be in a relationship for a while. Like, I am just in this
Mm.
period of like, fuck that guy and fuck everyone else right now. And just, I need someone to fuck me. Like, that's where you are.
Okay, yes, I could see that being a much more viable option. Yeah, and like honestly, that seems a lot more safe for you emotionally if you're going to put it that way. That is true because
Yeah.
you could be over that ex and you're just looking for like some sexual gratification, but you're not ready to get on apps, you're not ready to be like overwhelmed with like meeting new people. I totally agree that that could be more of a friends with benefits situation,
Right.
or an old flame where like you're both like, we know that we do not work in a relationship,
Mm,
but we had a very good sexual chemistry, a very good sexual, history with each other. So why not pick out the good parts of that, right? Like why not use what we know we have that works and like leave the rest behind. I could also, okay, so we just gave two very good scenarios in which friends with benefits could totally work. And I could see that being like because both situations are like, I know you as a person, right?
right.
So I won't be blindsided if you're weird about keeping your socks on, or or whatever, like, because I already know you.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah.
could see either of those working.
Okay. There we
Mm,
go.
yeah.
Well, now it's time for the big question. Do you think Friends with Benefits or No Strings Attached was a better movie?
Wait, hold on, just to make sure. So the Friends with Benefits was the one with Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake,
Yes.
and then No Strings Attached was
Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher. Which I just realized Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher together. That's so funny.
yeah,
Anyways, yes.
right. I think that I liked Friends with Benefits more just because it was like silly.
Yeah.
But I actually don't really remember No Strings Attached being that memorable, even though I really like Natalie Portman. So I'm not sure.
Okay. So I agree with you. I do
Mhm.
think I do like Friends with Benefits more
Mhm.
because I feel like Justin Timberlake can be funny. I feel like Mila Kunis is funny, and it is a little bit sillier. You're right.
Yes. Right.
I don't love Natalie Portman in like a rom-com. And
I
I
was just
really
gonna say I think that
can't
might be the
think of
problem.
any others that she's been in.
Yeah.
She's very talented. I think she's a great actress, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that would be my pick too.
I agree.
So, okay. Well, there
We
we go.
solved it. Yeah.
Okay, now for the real big question. Are we doing this wrong?
Ooh, I think I didn't even know I was in Friends with Benefits situation until this conversation. Like, I'm having a lot of realizations.
Me either. You had to tell me I was in one. I was like, I've never done this. And
Yeah.
you're like, actually.
I was like, I'm sure this is like exactly what you did.
Yeah.
So I guess technically, yes, I have had Friends with Benefits situations. And I think I actually did it pretty well. I kept it pretty clear that like this is all it is. I was
Yeah.
also using him for his location because he was very close to my job in Pasadena.
Right. So you're like, thank God the sleepover policy was not as strict as we would have it because
Yeah,
Ryan needed that shorter commute.
I did. Oh my gosh. He was like 10 minutes from my job. It was so nice. But I did actually the whole time keep it very clear that like this is all this is. And I was friends with him and his friend group outside of that.
Right.
And like we would hang out and do things and I would totally like hang out and that was fine. But once I got a new job, I was like, this wasn't ever anything to end. Like I made that very clear. I was like, but see, even though he pretended to not want something more, because I think at the beginning he did not want anything more.
Yeah.
But I think as he,
He
got to know
fell in
me.
love with you.
Yeah.
Right. He couldn't help it.
He couldn't help it, obviously.
All that oxytocin has just got him going wild. Saying that right. I've said it a few times.
Yes, oxytocin. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm not an expert in it either, but I think that's right.
I just don't think I've ever seen it written.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, wait a minute. But
No,
anyway.
yeah, that's correct. But yeah, I think I actually did it right. I think I have successfully had a Friends with Benefits situation where, I mean, I'm saying this as like the letdowner, right? So
Exactly. I was about to say you were because he wrote you much later and was like, oh, Ryann, long lost love. And you were like, no. You were like, oh my God, guess who just wrote me?
Oh my God. Yeah, put me on blast, but for real. No, that was very much so my reaction. I was like, sir, this was never going to be anything. So I think I've done a successfully as the person who came out on top.
Right. That's the best case scenario.
Sure. What about you? Have you done it wrong?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I had the crush on him, so I guess I wasn't the person who came out on top. But honestly, I didn't remember until you brought it up. So I don't really know if I'm totally like scathed by it, Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it changed me as a person.
No, but I also think this goes back to like your revelation last episode about going for people that are unavailable because
Yeah.
I think you were more excited about the chase than you were about the person.
1000%. It was so much more exciting to not know.
Yes. Right. Yeah, exactly. Because once
I'm sure
started
about to
coming
say
around more
what?
regularly, you were like, and I was
Yeah.
like, Morgan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, that's my personality though. And it's unfortunate. It probably means I will be alone, but that's okay. I don't mean to say alone like, wah, you know.
yeah, but I don't think you'll be alone because of the fact that like it's not a possibility. I do think we could dive into that in a whole nother episode about like commitment issues or something. I mean, but let's be real. I do think it's that because I don't think it's on the part of like that you're undateable or that like the reasons that most people say like, oh, I can't find a relationship. I don't think you're actively looking for that.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll never have a partner. I just don't think it will probably be as traditional.
Yes.
I'm just
Right.
a little I'm a Sagittarius, baby. I'm restless.
Yes. There you go. Exactly.
I'm restless.
Yeah.
So I just need someone to be restless with.
All right. Putting out an ad.
Right. You know anyone restless? My number is. Oh God. Okay. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah. I know.
Gotta get out of here. What are we talking about? So, thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode. We hope you figure something out with your friends with benefits. Hey, if you're making it work, we'd love to know. So
Yeah.
you can email us at wrongthepodcast@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on Instagram at wrongthepodcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on YouTube for the visual conversation. And that's it. We'll see you next week.
Sure will. Bye.